All right. Welcome, everyone. I appreciate you turning out I'm Dean Lacey Ford of the College of Arts and Sciences, and the college is sponsoring today a webinar on how to launch a successful career. And we're really pleased. This is the first time we've ever been able to do something like this in the college, and we're really happy to offer this service to you and hope to continue to be able to offer things like it in the future. We have with us today as our featured attraction and expert in this field, Jim Z. Jim is someone who has placed thousands of people into their dream jobs. He is the founder and president of Z1 Solutions, which is an executive search fund. And no, most of you aren't going to start your careers as an executive, but he's also the founder of a career coaching firm, Z1 Career Zone, and they've placed nearly 4,000 candidates in jobs with partners throughout the United States, Canada, and abroad. Jim contacted me back in the summer and said, he was really concerned that the job market was going to be very tough for college graduates in this last year and this year. And he volunteered to come and share his insights into launching a successful career for students and people who are preparing to graduate or maybe a year or two away from graduation. He has conducted such workshops and speaking engagements at a variety of colleges and businesses and other venues across the United States. He has insights on leadership, on strategies of attracting and hiring top talent, and also what gives you the best chance to land the job and career that you desire. He was recently selected as a facilitator for the Huntsman Leadership Summit, which teaches leadership skills to the top 8 college sophomores in the United States and Canada over a 2-year period. Jim's commitment to what he's doing is unquestioned. In addition to his experience as a founder of 2 successful companies of his own, he's been an executive of Abbott Laboratories and BioSite Incorporated. He was born in New Jersey, got his Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Tennessee, one of our peer Southeastern Conference schools. He is still very loyal to the University of Tennessee Vols, who are doing almost as poorly as we are in football this year, although they did manage to beat us. So with that introduction, I'm going to turn it over to Jim Z. And after Jim speaks, we'll come back on. Holly Johnson from the college will talk a little bit about the career counseling that's available. And you'll meet Jody Salter, who is our Director of External Relations and helps students in that capacity as well. But for right now, I'm going to turn it over to Jim Z of Z1 Career Zone.
Thank you very much, Lacey. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And let me get that up and going here. Let's see. Brian, it's help me out here. It's saying it's host disabled participant screen sharing. So perhaps we'll get this fixed for everybody here in a second. There we go.
Jim, that should be fixed now.
Yep, got it. And I assume that you guys can see my screen, and let me go up to the first slide here and get this underway. So everybody can see that right here? Okay. All right, I'm going to assume that is correct. All right, so I'm going to go to the first screen here. And first of all, Lacey, thank you for that introduction. I don't even have to talk about this slide at all, because you talked about me personally and professionally. And really, we've lived in Denver, Colorado now for 31 years. And as you said, I grew up in New Jersey and went to school down in Knoxville, Tennessee. Actually, to play baseball originally, I wish South Carolina would have recruited me for baseball. I might have had a whole different career as a result. So anyway, but yes, I love talking to the universities in the SEC because we are in a special conference. For sure. And so anyway, why, this career coaching company and all of that stuff. And I'll tell you, really, it's, and I hope to do this today, is to inspire you that are on this call to make an impact, but more importantly, make a difference to you in some way, shape, or form as it relates to where you are, whether it's, taking a look at internships, or if you're graduating, like, what am I going to do after I graduate? Perhaps everybody's probably has a different situation. All right. But really, that's why I'm in this career stuff. That's why I go to different colleges and do these presentations. It's totally enjoyable, to say the least. So we're going to start off with 3 stories real quick, and we'll circle back. But the first one, I call it 1 out of 1,184. And this story is about Jimmy. Okay, Jimmy was at Pepperdine University in his 5th year. He was doing his undergraduate and graduate work in a 5-year program, and he had a couple of internships already locked up, but there was one that he wanted badly. Okay, and it was with a very popular sports cable network company. One job, Burbank, California. Okay, and everybody and their brother, and he knew this, was going to be applying for this job. In fact, it ended up being 1,184. And Jimmy did one thing, just one thing, that took the odds from 1 out of 1,184 to 1 out of 6. Okay, so that's the first story. Second one is Jenny and Vicky. This goes back a few years, and Vicky was one of my recruiters that worked for me at our recruiting firm. Okay, and she was representing a job. It's in context. So companies will hire recruiting firms, and they pay them money to provide them candidates to get hired into those positions that they have open. Perhaps they were struggling with doing it, so they go to an outside source and all that. So Vicky was representing a position with a company in Houston, Texas. Okay, and on a Friday, 9 a.m., this gal Jenny calls Vicky and says, "Hey, Vicky, I understand you're representing such and such company for this job, and I would love to be in the interview process. And here's my background." And Vicky just cuts her off and says, "Jenny, I'm sorry. Okay, actually, they've closed talking to new candidates. They've told me we've got all our candidates. In fact, we're flying the final 3 candidates to Houston on Monday, and they're planning on making a decision on, Monday evening or Tuesday. And so, again, I'm sorry, but if something changes there, I'll let you know." Okay. Jenny does one thing, and on Tuesday of the following week, she is signing an offer letter with that company. Third one is Winnipeg Greg. This is, and by the way, all 3 of these stories are true. Even the names are true, actually. And Greg lived in Winnipeg, Canada, as you can imagine. And when I was with BioSite, I was tasked with the job to find somebody in Canada to run our Canadian operation. Okay. And my CEO, my boss, told me that, "Jim, we are hiring out of Toronto, and there was good reasons for that. Nowhere else. Don't even consider anybody anywhere else. Toronto, we've got our distribution partner there, all this stuff." I'm like, okay. So I fly up to Canada, and I've got my talk to a recruiter up there. She had me lined 8 different people for that next day, right? So I get up in the morning, and at 7 o'clock, my phone rings in my hotel room. "Mr. Zazowski, yes. This is Greg Milberg. And I understand that you're here to interview and hire for the position with BioSite, and I would like to talk to you about that position. I'm here in the lobby." And the Greg Milberg thing kind of rolled around in my head, and then it finally dawned on me. I said, "Greg, did you speak to Val Vickery?" And for whatever reason, I remember that name. Val was the recruiter that I had hired up in Canada. And I said, "Did she tell you?" I said, "Aren't you from Winnipeg?" He goes, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Well, didn't Val tell you that we are hiring somebody from Toronto?" And no exceptions to that. Yes, she did, Jim. But all I ask, listen, I flew out here on my own nickel, and all I ask is 5 minutes of your time. I said, Greg, we're just hiring out of Toronto, but if you want to stick around for 8 hours, I'll talk to you. Fast forward 2 weeks, Greg is signing an offer letter with me to come on to BioSite, and lasted there 16 years, right? Because he did one thing that was different, right? We're going to come back to these stories for sure. So let me ask you guys a question. If you want to hit the chat line and put your response on here, that's fine. But here's my question for you. Okay, you're about to get into your careers here shortly. All right. Question is this: how many hours on the average are you going to spend in your career during your lifetime? How many hours are you going to spend in your career during your lifetime? And here's the answer: 100,000 hours. Think about that. There is nothing that you will do besides sleep. That's the only thing, right? That you will dedicate more hours to in your lifetime, likely. 100,000 hours. So the point to this whole thing, right, is this career thing that we're talking about here, that you're about to embark on pretty soon in your lives, is really, really important. And here's another statistic. And here's this question. Think about this one. What percentage of professionals in the United States are either disengaged or don't like their jobs? Disengaged or don't like their jobs. Okay. And I'll tell you, this is startling. The answer is 71%. There's a ton of data that supports that. Think about that, 71%. And I will tell you that I saw this firsthand all the time in my recruiting firm. Okay. And I saw people who are unhappy. I'd see it rip apart families, literally, because they were not enjoying what they were doing at work. In fact, they hated doing what they were doing. I've seen it destroy the health of human beings, literally, because of that. 71% of all professionals, and professionals meaning, definition of that is any job that requires a 4-year degree. Okay. Now think about this. Okay. Where you're at your age. Okay. This is so important. And if you get it right, the earlier you get it right, I could promise you, your life changes compared to if you get it wrong. Okay. And I want you to really hear that, because what that's going to take from you, okay, is a lot of hard work. A lot of hard work. But if you get it right, you get it right out of college or a couple years into it, your life will change for the better, for you, for your future the whole 9 yards. And I could promise you that. All right. So you guys are in a great position right now, and hear that and never forget that statistic. So what are we going to try to do here in probably less than 60 minutes, really, and say 40 minutes, 45. What are we going to try to do? What do we try to accomplish? What am I going to try to share with you? Well, you will, I promise you, and I'm going to tell you this right now. Take notes on this. Write these down. You're going to understand the 3 reasons why people get hired. You will definitively understand what that is. Okay. And also, this is my hope anyway, is that you're going to think differently as a result of what you hear I have to say. And if you think differently, perhaps you might even act differently than how you might have in the future as it relates to this subject. And last is, I really do. I hope you're going to leave inspired. I hope you're going to be excited about, some couple of things that you learn here. And I want you to recognize this. Okay, we only have 40 minutes, so we're touching on this much, and in our career coaching company, we have a whole semester worth of information, right? So this is just a little piece of it, but there's some of the most important pieces and takeaways that I think that I can give you in this short period of time. All right. So why do some people get hired and others don't? And And how do I know this for a fact, right? How could I say this, all right? And I'll tell you why. It's because of data. Remember when Lacey shared with you that our recruiting firm has placed about 4,000 people into new professional jobs? In every instance, every hiring manager that we worked with, when they hired one of our candidates that we were representing, we asked them this question, okay? And the question was this, all right, why did you hire that person versus the other three? Why did you hire them? What was the main reason? And I can promise you, we collected all that data, 95% of the responses were these three answers. It was amazing, right? And I'm going to show these to you and write them down real quick, okay? The person that is most prepared. The person that is most prepared. So Sarah, tell me, why did you hire Jody? Tell me, what was the main reason why you hired Jody? Well, Jim, I got to tell you, her preparation was unbelievable. She knew exactly, our criteria for the job and how her experience, her skill sets, her attributes, all this stuff met and exceeded all the things that we were looking for. Okay. She had a great grasp on our key initiatives this year and so on and so forth. And I got to tell you, it wasn't even close. It was an easy decision for me. Person that's most prepared. Number two, it's the person that is most excited about the job. So tell me, Julie, why did you hire Brian? Jim, I got to tell you, Brian was authentically excited about what we're doing here. It was clear. I could see it in his body language, okay? He definitely did his research, did his homework, and I could tell you, he was excited about our company. He was excited about our history and how we started. He was even excited about what we're doing in the future. And I got to tell you, I think he was really excited about our team and perhaps even working for me, Jim. I just felt that, right? So excited. Most excited is number two. And last, no surprise here, the person that they like the best, right? Lacey, why did you hire Janet? Why did you decide to do that? Well, Jim, we hit it off. There was a connection there. I just felt that we were right on track with our conversation and we had several things and philosophies in common and all. I just clearly liked her better than anybody else and can see her really working on our team really well and me working really well with her. Most prepared, most excited, and liked the best. And I will tell you this, okay, is that by far, most prepared is it. Everything else, these other two, excited and liked the best, fall under the preparation. Think about it. If you're doing the right preparation, the right research, you're figuring out that this job, this company, I've got culture alignment, I've got value alignment. Yep, I know the criteria, my experience. I can do this job, right? I could see it. I could picture myself and all these things, right? You're going to be excited about it. And it's going to be authentic and they're going to see it. And also because of that, and because of the other stuff you did on the preparation side, the stuff you did in researching the people you were interviewing with, the questions you asked them at the end of your session with them when they said, hey, Jim, you got any questions for me? Yeah, I do. And let me share those with you. And they're like, whoa, those are great questions. And they could see from your preparation, how can they not like you, right? Most prepared, most excited, and like the best. And I'm going to give you what I think, and I'll tell you, even if you don't like this guy, okay, you'll have to agree with what I'm about to tell you. All right. And that's Peyton Manning. And I can't think of a better example of this. And, we loved Peyton in Denver, Colorado. We're very sad he left. Very sad, Lacey, he left Tennessee too, because we've been terrible since, and the Broncos have been terrible since too. So anyway, but the example I'm going to bring up about Peyton Manning will really, I think, drive home my point on this, in that when you think about Peyton Manning, and you guys are at South Carolina, so I know your football, and you watch the NFL probably too, and all this. So, but if I ask people, and I've done this at workshops, I said, if you think about the attributes that a top shelf NFL quarterback has, right? If I think about arm strength, all right, let's compare Peyton Manning to the top quarterbacks arm strength wide in the NFL. And usually 1 to 10, they'll rate him about a 5 or 6. They'll say, he's got a pretty good arm, but not a great arm, not an Aaron Rodgers arm, and I'll say, well, how about his ability to throw a ball that is very catchable, that perfect spiral, and all that. And people say, they'll shake their head. No, it's pretty much wobbles every time he throws it. In fact, you kind of wonder, how does it get there? And it's the truth. You ever watch any film? Never throws a perfect spiral. Very uncatchable ball, if you're going to say that. And then you can look at like just athleticism, right? And the ability to use your athleticism when the pocket breaks down, right? And it's 3rd and 10, and you're using your speed and your agility and all this stuff to make something out of nothing to gain 12 yards for that first down. And you're like, you're laughing now. You're saying, I'd give him a 1. A guy, when he runs, he looks uncoordinated. He's slow, and you're thinking, get down before you get hurt, right? And everybody who knows anything about Peyton Manning can agree with that. And so when you take a look at some of these key attributes for how quarterbacks are evaluated, this guy is average at best, right? But somewhere back when, I don't know when, could be from his dad, whatever, he learned that, preparation is the key, and I can control that. And I will dedicate myself to, no matter what I do, I am going to out-prepare every quarterback, every player. It doesn't matter, because I know I can do that. I can control that, right? And if you take a look at it, it's exactly what he did. The stories are unbelievable, and maybe you've heard some about Peyton Manning's crazy preparation in practices. Never mind games, practices, in the nights, in the film, and all this stuff. And it doesn't matter if it's that, or if it's hosting the ESPYs or Saturday Night Live, or now he's on Peyton Places on Disney Plus and all this stuff. His preparation, he's going to out-prepare. He's going to make sure he is fully prepared, and the results follow. And it's the same thing, I'm just telling, same thing with all this stuff with career. Preparation is everything. Trust me. And the nice thing about that, preparation, I'm telling you, person's most excited and like the best, you can control that, and you can out-prepare your competition every time. And if you do that, the odds of you getting the jobs, into the careers, and into the companies that you want go through the roof. Does it guarantee it? Nope. Does it guarantee a Super Bowl for Peyton Manning? Nope. Does it increase his odds dramatically versus the people that are half prepared or unprepared? You bet it does. Okay. And it's the same thing with your career. So we're going to talk about now a subject about you must be different. And I really, really believe this. This is one of my core values about you must be different. And let me give you a couple of subjects that we'll touch on. And these are just, again, these are a couple I wish I had 24 hours with you guys, but I think you'll get the point with these 3 examples. And we're going to talk about applying for jobs. How do you be different with that? Your resume references, how do you be different with that? And your preparation. We're going to dive into that a little bit more since that's so important. So applying for jobs. All right. So what happens when you send your resume into a company and their website and apply for a job, or one of the job boards that are out there, Indeed or any of those, right? You got this funnel of resumes that are piling in, right? And hopefully after these certain things happen through the process, right, possibly one drops out and somebody is hired, okay? And you all know what that's about. What you might not know, maybe you do, I don't know, is something called the ATS, and that stands for the Applicant Tracking System. What is that? Why is Jim bringing this up? Okay, because I want you to understand what happens to your resume when it goes into a company website. All right. And what happens is it gets funneled out, and the ATS is a computer software program. Every company of any size has one. All right. And what it does is, based on certain criteria, keywords, whatever, it's looking for those, and all these resumes are coming through, and it lets certain ones slip through that meet that criteria, right? Whatever that is. All right. And does it take into account some really important attributes like your leadership skills? No, it does not. Can it decide that, hey, you're one of those people that when you come into a company or you're on a team, you raise the level of play of everybody else around you? You've got this infectious, positive attitude. Will a computer tell the company that about you? Absolutely not, right? So what are the odds of all this stuff? Let me share with you. In Fortune 500 companies, the average number of resumes, people that apply for jobs, is 250 for every job out there on the average. Varies a little bit here and there. And only, get this, only 3% are viewed by a human eyeball, and that's for 6.2 seconds. 3%, so 7 out of that 250, right? And less than 1% of those eventually get hired. So I run into this this all the time, right? I hear whether I was doing alumni sessions or with some with undergraduates, but more with alumni who've been sending resumes out a lot. Say, Jim, I keep sending my resume to all these companies. I don't even get a response, right? I don't get a response, and they keep doing the same things over and over, right? And they're not getting a response. Well, that's why. Just exactly what I showed you. That's why. And you think you can maybe outguess and what keywords they're using and all that. Good luck. I'm just gonna tell you, good luck, because those results and odds speak for themselves, right? Not very good odds, especially if it's a company and a job you really want, right? And so, fill in the blank here. What is that called, right? When you're doing things over and over, expecting different results. You've heard this 1,000 times. It's insanity, right? People keep doing it over and over again. Figure, well, let me throw out another 100. Let me do another 100. Maybe something will stick, and perhaps maybe you get lucky and it does. But it's not a very good way. And I'd also, if we had time, I'd give you 2 other really big time reasons why doing that will harm you, okay, in getting into that company through the 2 best ways of getting inside an organization. And we're gonna talk about that as well. And they are internal referrals and external referrals. And I'm putting Handshake on here. Perhaps you guys are using Handshake. I believe you are, but if you're not, like a lot of colleges do, are using Handshake. And if you're not, you're using something else similar to it, I'm sure. But let me tell you about why these are the best odds. Okay. Internal referrals. What that means is there is somebody that works at that company that refers you or a candidate for that job. Okay. In other words, let's make this simple. There's a research job open at this company. I'm working at the company and I see that's an opening. Well, I know Holly, okay, and I know Holly's character. I know our company culture. Holly would be a great fit for that team. She's definitely got the credentials and all this stuff. So I pass her resume on to either the hiring manager, hopefully, or the person in human resources, right? And what happens, and this is a large majority of the company, certainly a medium and large company, 100% just about, okay? Maybe very small companies, perhaps not, but these companies will pay you as an employee a referral fee, okay? In other words, if you refer Holly for that research job and Holly gets hired, they're going to pay me, Jim Zazowski, for referring Holly. And I'd say the average is about $1,500, $2,000. Pretty easy money, right? And so it's a great way for companies to get great candidates. But here's the other benefit to a company, all right? Holly is somewhat of a known commodity. Well, why do you say that? Because, you know, Jody, who works there that referred her, she knows the company culture. She knows all these things. She's not going to refer Holly if Holly's a schmuck. Her reputation's behind it. Doesn't matter if she's getting paid. She's not going to do it unless she knows Holly is going to be a real success. And so now Holly has become somewhat known as a high quality candidate versus somebody else coming off the street just sending it in through the website, right? So it makes sense. The other reason, which is another big one, is you see this external referrals. I'll get to that. Recruiters, external recruiters. My recruiting firm would fall under external referrals, right? So if Jody, you know, sends Holly in and Holly gets the job, I pay Jody $2,000 instead of paying Jim Zazowski, the external recruiter, to provide candidates to fill that job. I don't have to pay him $25,000. Okay. A huge difference. All right. Jody's happy. Holly's happy, right? Everybody's happy except Jim Zazowski's recruiting firm, right? You know, good for the company. You bet it is. Number one reason why people get hired inside companies, they come from internal referrals, and it makes a ton of sense. So what does that mean to you, right? Okay. I better start learning how to get referred by internal people. How do I do that? How do I network? And all those things come into play, right? So external referrals, you know, and most of these are external recruiting firms like my firm, where we'd get hired, right, to place somebody or at least provide them candidates. They hire them, they pay us, right? It's all great. And they hire us because we've got a network of people in that specific niche. So we know all the researchers in San Diego, California, and all these other companies, right? Because we work that particular, that company doesn't know, right? So they're relying on us to be able to provide those. And if you're a good recruiting firm, there is a lot of trust that the candidates you're getting are well qualified, because I, as a recruiting firm, I've been working with your company for years. And in fact, I've been working with Sarah, the hiring manager, for years. And when I provide Sarah candidates, she knows these are people that she should talk to. Okay. We built that good of a relationship and trust, and we're doing that quality work for her. Right. So that's another area that companies get a lot of their candidates from. Okay. And I put handshake here for this reason. And I do believe this. And the more I've worked with colleges and heard this and understood this, is that, you know what, companies will recruit out of South Carolina, Kentucky, Auburn, wherever, right? And you've got your on-campus recruiters. They get to know the career centers and the people there, right? And they will post their jobs on Handshake or perhaps another software, right, that's available to the students of South Carolina. And these recruiters, you know, they keep coming back to South Carolina if they're getting good candidates and good hires, right? And they'll develop relationships with the people who know the people that are applying for jobs. And you know, trust me, they're doing everything they can to find out if that person that's applying, how good are they, right? They may go to somebody at the career center and say, hey, you know, do you know Holly Johnson? You know, she applied, really don't know anything about her. I was wondering if you crossed paths with her at all. Or perhaps they've built a relationship with a professor, okay, and ask the professor about that person, right? And it's like one of these unsolicited references, so to speak, you know? And so you talk about the value of you making sure that you're building relationships with the career center. So perhaps that question is asked, they could say, you know what, I do know Holly, and let me tell you about Holly Johnson. All right. And boom, Holly flies through, passes the other candidates up. And again, that's like an external referral. University of South Carolina is like their recruiting firm, really, when you think about it. So those are the best ways to get into companies, get into jobs. Referrals, both internal, number one, and external, number two. All right. Let's talk about really not so much your resume, but your references and how that is different as well. So I want you to think about this for just a second. What 4 words should never, ever, ever appear on your resume? What 4 words? All right, here they are. And I will preface this by saying this is my opinion, but I hope I'll back it up for you. References available upon request. Now remember, what's our topic? Doing things differently, just as we did when we were talking about applying for jobs or getting in the right company, right? References available upon request. I could tell you I've seen thousands of resumes as a hiring manager, thousands as a recruiter, and I would say 99.9% have these 4 words on them. Let me show you, and this is the example of Jimmy, and some things were blotted out, but realistically, this is his sheet as a college student, professional and personal references. He doesn't have references available upon request. Why? He wants to provide it proactively to the hiring manager. He doesn't want to make the hiring manager do anything like have to call me up and ask me for references. No, here they are. Personally, can speak to my character, my attributes, right? And all those things. Professional, these are the people I've done internships with or worked for somewhere or another, right? And you could ask them about my work ethic, my working in a team environment and all those things, right? It's there. It's done. So I'm going to ask you guys that are on this thing and give you a couple of easy things that you can do. Okay. And this is one, do this by the end of the year. Have a listing of your personal and professional references and ask the people if they will be okay with you listing them. All right. And then you have it all ready to go. And you want on your personal side, these are the people that could speak to you, about your character, what kind of person you are, right? The attributes that you have. It could be somebody at your church, right? That you're in a group with. It could be somebody in your small group that you work with at the university there. Maybe you're an RA, right? And you can list your head resident as a professional reference, right? Or the people you worked with, and get it all ready, set to go. Very easy to do it. You have a minimum of 3 of each. That's all you need. Okay. So go ahead and do that. Let's talk a little bit about your preparation. How can you be different there? How could that be a game changer for you? Well, let me show you this little example here. This is Z1 Production Summer Internship job description. Okay. Very simple, right? When you look at any job description, any of them out there, they are going to list what their criteria is that they're going to measure candidates against to see if they qualify for the job and all this stuff, right? Okay. It's in there. It's in there every time. All right. And right here, I highlighted where it was on this particular job description, right? The qualifications are this, right? It says, Z1 is seeking a student currently enrolled in a college or university, preferably in a sport management program. Attention to detail, strong communication skills, and a familiarity with Microsoft applications are required. Okay, there's 2 types of criteria for any job, okay, on any job description. One is absolute criteria or required. In other words, if you don't have the absolute, they're not going to talk to you. Example of that would be a 4-year degree in electrical engineering, right? You don't have that, we ain't going anywhere with you, right? And here you could see, strong communication skills and familiarity with Microsoft applications are required. That's a requirement, right? They want you enrolled in a university, preferably sport management. You don't have to be in that, but they prefer it. So if you have that, you have a little bit of edge on somebody, right? So you got absolute and preferred criteria. Now I'm going to give you, this little tool will work magic for you. All right. So remember this, take your notes. So what we would say works for something like this is we call it a criteria workup. All right. And what this document does is something that you create, and you take the criteria that's on any job description. All right. And you list it on the left, and you can see right there, there it is. Student currently enrolled, right? Prefers sports management, attention to detail, strong communication skills, and familiarity with Microsoft Office products. There it is, right on the left. And what you're going to do is on the right is you're going to either bullet point or write in a couple of short sentences exactly how your skills, your attributes, your experiences, anything meet and or exceed that job criteria, right? Because here's why this document is so important. First of all, nobody else is doing it. I promise you that. All right. Secondly, the biggest pet peeve of any hiring manager that I've spoken to for 18 years is when they get resumes, perhaps from another recruiting firm or their HR department, of unqualified candidates. It's a waste of their time, drives them nuts. They don't have time for it, right? This eliminates it. You are showing them right off the bat that you are qualified, and here's exactly how you're qualified. So let me show you in this little example, how this person did it. They filled it out, right? And this is real, okay, except the internship, I created that out of another real internship. But anyway, here's what they wrote. They said, yeah, I'm currently enrolled, University of Tennessee, and I declared a major in sports management. So what they're doing is they are showing that I meet that criteria of a student enrolled, right? And preference sports management, yep. And my ambitions are to pursue graduate work in sports management, even more so. Check off. Attention to detail. Talks about during his time as a high school baseball coach, right? Think about that. A lot of people think, oh, as a baseball coach this summer, there's no value there. Wrong when you really think about it, okay? Attention to detail. And he talked about how he's involved in scheduling the day camps, right? And the summer tournaments, which all required a tremendous amount of detail. And then he says, hey, after every game, I put together a detailed analysis that updated the statistics, whether it's batting or pitching on each player, and then got with them on a regular basis and reviewed the results. So now that last sentence, he's actually starting to answer the third one, strong communication skills, right? And in there, right, this next one, he talks about how he has developed some very good, strong communication skills, and even setting goals with individuals and for the team and all this stuff, right? And setting the, and setting the expectations right up front. He talks about, right, having that discussion with the players to resolve issues down the road. We've already agreed. We've already set the expectation, right? Brilliant. Great stuff, right? And then familiarity with Microsoft Office. Currently enrolled in workshops for the following applications: Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You can do this for any job, all right? And I can tell you, in my recruiting firm, if a candidate didn't want to put this together, we would not represent them for a job, okay? And the reason was our job was to get great qualified candidates for the hiring managers we were working with, make their job easier, all this stuff. We knew it separated them out from the other candidates and all this stuff. So if they didn't want to put the time to do this for a career change, we talked about how important that is, then you know what? Not the right candidate for us to work with, right? So that's how important this is, and that's a great example. So another thing, I just share this with you. We call it an interview packet. It's something that that we teach, but I want to share this with you, and conceptually you'll get it, and you can create one of these things with just a criteria workup and references if you want, but I'll expand on it a little bit more. So think about this. I want you to picture that you're a hiring manager, okay? And you're sitting at your desk, and it's on Wednesday today, right? And you've got these 4 candidates coming in on Friday, all right? And you sit down, and your administrative assistant lays the folder next to you. Go, oh, these are the resumes of the people I'm talking. Let me look through it. And I look through the first resume. Okay, got that. Look through the second one. Got that. Third one. Got that. Candidate D, I look, and there's this packet of information. I look and says, oh, what's this? And open up the first page. It says, Jim, I very much look forward to meeting you for the interview on Friday. Enclosed, you will find the following information. Number 1, professional resume. Number 2, personal and professional references, feel free to call any of these individuals because they can certainly speak to me as a person about my character, about my attributes, and their experiences of me working for them. Number 3, criteria workup. I put together this one-page document based on my research and taking a look at your job description. And I took the criteria listed in the job description and showed you how my past jobs, how my skills, and how my attributes meet and or exceed the given criteria you have listed for the job. And number 4 is 90-day plan for success. Jim, I know there's a summer intern job. So what I did, for my research and everything I could put together, I showed you exactly what I would do during the 90 days that I have this internship to give me the best chance of coming up to speed as quickly as possible and being a valuable contributor for your team. Okay, so you tell me, you got those 4 things. What are you thinking as a hiring manager? And oh, by the way, all those other 3 references or resumes, what do they have on the bottom, right? References upon request, right? You're thinking this, oh my gosh, this kid has put in some work. This is fantastic. I've never seen anything like this. This is unbelievable. Now I'm going to change the questions I ask because I don't have to find out if they're qualified for the job. They are. This is amazing. And what you have done, and I'm telling you this, you have essentially eliminated your competition before you've even had your first face-to-face interview with the hiring manager. Okay. You have reset that bar through the roof. And I will tell you, statistically, all right, you have increased the odds by this one exercise 4-fold versus if you didn't do it at all. Okay. That's how important these little tools. And there's other things you could be creative about. I had one undergraduate who was interviewing for a sales position coming right out of college and had 0 sales experience and knew, he was going to be interviewing against other people. What he had done for the last year, he was reading sales books, right, to learn about sales, right? And so he came in and 1 page listed, and there were like 14 titles of the book. Here's the offer. Here was his takeaway. And that was part of his packet. And the hiring manager, I'll never forget, said this to him. He said, you know what? I got to tell you, you've done more work, okay, on the sales profession and invested more of your own time learning this than any of my sales reps. I guarantee you that I have on my team right now. Got the job, right? Okay. Preparation, being different, and all of that stuff, right? So back to the 3 stories as we wrap this up. Remember, first one was Jimmy. Right. And I could share this in full transparency. Jimmy is my son. Okay. And Jimmy, right, the job that he wanted, this internship was in Burbank, California, is with ESPN. He knew, he worked in my office during the summers and, had the benefit of me being a career coach and all this stuff. He knew that everybody and the brother was going to send in their resume through the website. And he knew if that happened and he did that, his odds were 1 out of whatever. Ended up there were 1,183 resumes that came through the website and 1 that didn't, right? And what he did, he just decided, what the heck, I'm going to try something different. And so he goes on LinkedIn, figures out, does all this research, figures out who the hiring manager is for this internship in that job in Burbank, right? In Burbank. And he finds out the number of calls, gets the administrative assistant. He introduced himself, says, hey, I'm in my 5th year down at doing my graduate work down at Pepperdine University. Before he could even say anything else, this lady stops and says, you go to Pepperdine? My daughter just graduated from there, blah, blah, blah. I talked about Pepperdine for 15 minutes, right? And Jimmy said, hey, I really like to drop off my resume for so-and-so. He knew the guy's name. And she says, you know what? I'll tell you what, Jimmy, he's going to be here next Tuesday. Can you come over there and I'll introduce you to him? Goes in the office, has his little packet of information, meets this guy, and in 10 minutes, the guy says, this is unbelievable. He goes, Jimmy, thank you so much for stopping by. He goes, in fact, HR is going to be bringing me 5 resumes that they're getting, that have come through and been applied. And I'm going to have face-to-face interviews with 6 people. You're going to be the 6th. So tell Marge on your way out, give her your cell phone number. She'll get back with you. Boom. He knew exactly what to do to eliminate the other 5, right? When he got in that, got the job. Fast forward to now, 32 years old, senior vice president in ESPN, loves his job. No way it happens unless he does that one thing. No way, right? And then we got Jenny and Vicky, right? And Jenny was the one, remember, she got flat no from Vicky and ends up getting the job, right? So Vicky comes back in my office at about noon. She goes, "Did you see the email I just sent you?" I said, "No, I haven't seen my." "Open it up." "Oh, okay, Vicky, I'll open up." "Open it up. Click on it. Double click on that attachment." I'm like, okay. And I look, and it's this like 2-minute video, and there's this gal, Jenny, on it. And Jenny is articulating, right, her background and the criteria for the job that Vicky's representing and why she would make a great fit for the company and would love to have an interview with them. Okay. And on the email, it says, "Vicky, please open up the attachment. Based on what you see, if you feel that I'd make a great fit for this company, all I ask is that you forward it to the hiring manager." Vicky goes, "What should I do?" I said, "Vicky, what do you think of the video?" She goes, "I've never seen anything like it. It's great." I said, "I agree. Send it. You know, your job is to get them the best. What are they going to do? Say, no, we've got our final 3 candidates. Forget it. Fine. Send it." Gets a call back two hours later from the hiring manager. "Vicky, is there any way you get Jenny down here next Tuesday?" And Vicky says, "Sure can." And you know what happened, right? She got the job and signed the offer letter that evening. And her preparation was unbelievable. And then there's Winnipeg Greg, you know, and Greg tells me on the phone, you know, "Mr. Zalski, all I ask is 5 minutes of your time. I flew out here on my own nickel. Can I just get 5?" "Sure, Greg, wait 8 hours," right? You know, sit around. I'm like, geez, I don't have time for this. You know, I interview all 8 people that day, and I'm telling you, I got nothing. I sit down with Greg, and in 5 minutes, all I'm thinking about is, how do I convince my boss to hire Greg Milberg, based out of Winnipeg, Canada, for this job? My boss flies up in 2 weeks, hires Greg, ended up being there 16 years, right? And I could tell you dozens of these stories, and they're all different, all in their own way, right? You know, but so many people are out there doing things the same way, asking the same questions at the end of interview that are not high impact, right? You know, they hear the same thing, these hiring managers, right? And you being different and being creative, right? It doesn't guarantee it, but boy, it increases the odds dramatically, as you could see with these 3 stories. So, so anyway, in summary, and let me see what time I got. Woo, it's 5 till, but I've enjoyed myself. I hope you guys have too. In summary, you know, the 3 reasons why people get hired. You know them, right? And preparation is number 1. And you also understand how highly impactful, you know, being different can be, right? It's all about odds, guys. I'm telling you, how do you give yourself the best odds of getting into work that you can enjoy and thrive in for years to come, right? It's all about that. So, you know, I saw this quote where it says, you know, what sets you apart sometimes can feel like a burden, right? And it's not, but in a lot of time, it's what makes you great. And I think that really does, it does state that, okay? And the last thing I'm going to tell you here too is that, you know, if you've got any questions about anything about our company, our on-demand program that we have available for college students, undergraduates, recent grads, all that stuff, I want you to, you know, just email me at info@Z1CareerZone, okay? And I'll be happy to share that with you, send you a quick video that shows it to you and all this stuff. But you know, also what I'll say is follow us on, and I know your age group is on Instagram a lot, if not all the time, right? And so if Instagram's your thing, follow us on Instagram. Just put in Z1 Career Zone, and I'll tell you why is we are always, and this is all free of charge, just like these seminars we do as part of our giving back, is we'll send out tools, send out articles that'll be of interest, some not, delete them, that's fine, doesn't matter. But the other thing we do is we do these monthly industry expert webinars that are fantastic, and you'll see who the industry expert is every month, first Wednesday of every month, okay, what the topic's going to be, and if you have interest in that, right, then watch it. Okay. They're an hour long and they are great. If you don't, that's fine. But by being on our list there, we'll be sure, you know, that you'll be getting that information, and we don't kill your mailbox at all. You might get something once every week and a half, 2 weeks, it's something like that. So anyway, so please take your phone right now, do that, right? And again, that's doing one more thing that's different than the rest of your peers who, by the way, are not on this seminar, right? So you're already doing things differently than your peers and what eventually will be your competition. So so I want to thank you guys for allowing me, Lacey, Holly, Jody, Brian, you guys have been great helping getting this thing set up. And by the way, if you info me at z1cruisezone.com and you want to chat with me, happy to do that too. Okay, so feel free to do that. Okay, and last but not least is I know that Lacey, you mentioned, I know we're butting up against the time, but perhaps there's some questions out there that that these folks have.
Thank you very much, Jim. We appreciate that presentation. I'm going to add my own little pitch to that. Is where Jim likes, one of his key points was to be different. I like to say, be the original, not the copy. And that's kind of what I look for when we're hiring people here in the college.
That's great.
We're going to give you a chance to send in some questions and that we will refer to Jim in just a minute or two. I'm going to introduce you now to one of our internal career counselors here at the university who does a great job working with students from the College of Arts and Sciences, Holly Johnson. Holly will greet you with the same energy, enthusiasm, and eagerness to help as she will this afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much for that kind introduction, Lacey and Jim, for such a great session. So I know Jim said he's not blowing up your inbox. Y'all might recognize me because I'm that girl that's blowing up your inbox all the time with invites to career events and webinars and things about appointments. So I want to formally introduce myself. My name is Holly Johnson. I'm Assistant Director of the College of Arts and Sciences Career Center. And our mission is always to help students in the liberal arts, empower and educate you in the development of your lifelong career management skills. So right now you took this first step, right? To take yourself seriously and to come to a career seminar like this. We don't want you to feel alone as you're getting started. Maybe at this moment, you're just now thinking about your career options, planning for internships, thinking about graduate school, or maybe you're at a later phase where you're actively searching for a full-time position or trying to sort out what life after graduation is going to look like. I'm one of the career coaches in the Career Center. In an ordinary semester, we're located in Thomas Cooper Library on level 5, and we also do special programs in Flynn Hall and the Student Excellence Collaborative. In terms of kind of services that we can offer, we help students with resume development, obviously cover letters, interview style, but also we have professionals who are designed to kind of help you just chart out your journey and ask good questions and help you figure out, like Jim said, if you're going to be spending 100,000 hours of your life doing something, it's our belief that that thing should be right. It should be a good fit and that you should be excited about your future and all of the amazing things that lie ahead. So the way that you can work with us, we do offer virtual services right now. All of our appointment bookings are through Handshake, which has been an excellent resource for us. You can get into your Handshake account and obviously book career coaching appointments. You can also find opportunities. So in Handshake, you'll be able to see internships that are posted, full-time jobs, part-time jobs. You'll see all of the career webinars, programs, and career fairs that we offer in the Career Center. So that's the other big step. If you are looking to build that professional network, like Jim was saying, making contacts with people, being brave and putting yourself out there, we want to give you as many opportunities for you to make that happen. So in the spring semester especially, keep a read on all of the career programs that we will have going on. All of those are going to be posted up in Handshake. Please don't hesitate to let us know how we can help you. And if it's either myself or one of my colleagues, we have 2 other career coaches that work for College of Arts and Sciences students. Jeannie Fitzgerald, who works with our arts and undeclared students, as well as Morgan Beatty, who works with our psychology, social sciences, and humanities students. So I'm on the piece of the math and natural and physical sciences. So between the three of us, we're going to have someone here to help you with your career questions. So love this session. I'm happy to help take any questions that you might have. And without further ado, I know we want to have time to get to Q&A. So I'll turn it back over to Lacey and Jody at this point for taking those students' questions.
Thank you, Holly. I'm going to now introduce Jody Salter, our energetic director of external relations, and she will relay your questions. Please send them in if you haven't already, and we'll have a little time here for Jim to answer a few questions. Jody?
Thanks, Lacey. Thanks, Jim. That was really great. I know that everyone got a great deal out of what you said, and we have a few questions, so it proves to me that they did. And Holly, thank you for being such a champion and being here for our students. I know that we want to be cognizant of everyone's time, so I'm going to ask these questions, and Jim, if you could just give us some quick, brief answers, that would be great. The first question is, what should we do if we have no obvious referrals, either external or internal?
Yeah, and again, that's even a whole nother subject, honestly, because that gets into networking, and there are definitely ways, like right now, likely because of your age and lack of experience, you don't have those referrals, right, and all that stuff. But let me give you a quick example. You know, perhaps going to talk to one of your professors who does have some connections of former students possibly in those organizations or whatever. So start being creative, and the thing to always think about is ask, right? The more you ask people, and trust me, they're willing to help. You may be shocked about that, and especially older people, professors and all that, they want to help their students, you know, and friends of the family and all that stuff. So if you and again, that's the short answer, but networking is the way to go about that. And there's all kinds of ways to do that, not only personally, but through LinkedIn and even through social media. And we spent a lot of time actually on those networking tools, but yeah, so that's what I would say, is just think about the people in your inner circle that perhaps may know of somebody, and they'll introduce you hopefully to somebody, or introduce you to somebody who may be able to introduce you to somebody. So, but there's ways, and it takes work.
Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'd like to add, each one of you students, you have an assigned advisor. Get to know your advisor and develop a relationship with them. When I was an advisor, I wrote a lot of letters of recommendation for students, and they're certainly willing to help you with that. Okay, our
Great answer.
Question is, how can I find out a hiring manager's name or profile if the company is big enough to have several managers?
Ooh, LinkedIn is a great way to be able to do that. And as you're going through college, I am sure you're going to get exposed more and more to LinkedIn. But I will tell you also that they have great, I think LinkedIn is your social media for business. All right. And you might not even have a LinkedIn profile yet, but hopefully you will by the time you hit your senior year and all that, start interviewing. But they have great videos on there which actually speak to those exact subjects of, you know, how do you connect with people? How do you figure out who's the hiring, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And it's all free. It's all free. So again, all this stuff takes work. It really doesn't. But once you start diving into it, you'll start seeing the value of LinkedIn, which is an enormous tool in the business world and the career world. Yeah. Good question.
Thanks, Jim. It's actually kind of fun. It's almost like being a detective when you're on.
It is.
Right?
It very much is. Yeah.
The next question comes from Kaylee. She says, do you recommend attaching the reference list to our resume in a single or two-page document or a separate document? I know I saw you answer that privately, but if you could just answer that.
Yeah, absolutely. Include it. The more that you have done that you can provide, okay, do it. If you want to have, you know, on one document would be great. You've got your resume, and page 2 maybe is your references and all that stuff, you know, that's fine as well. But yes, if you've put it, make sure you get it to them, you know, because it will not hurt you. It'll only help you.
Great. And then the next question is from Sloan. She says, hello, thank you for your presentation. But she also asked, what was the worst client you had?
Yeah, I laughed at that and I said that's a separate conversation. But no, let me tell you, I give you two answers. So when I was full-time in the recruiting firm, and recruiting firm still exists, I'm just focused all on the career coaching part. But there, I could tell you, the worst client we had is we really did a good job determining up front if we were the right fit for them, right? And vice versa. So we had certain criteria that we looked at that client had to meet, because then we knew we could do great work for them. So that really avoided bad clients. But in general is communication, right? If we needed communication from them back to our candidates and we weren't getting that, and we set that up, we needed 24 hours, turnaround time. If we didn't get that, I don't care how busy they were, that would be a bad client because we're disservicing our people. Now on the career side, right, the undergraduates or professionals who have signed up for our program, it's like anything else. Our worst clients, okay, are honestly somebody, maybe it's a parent who purchased it for them and the kid didn't want to do it, right? And so they're not engaged. They're not putting the effort in. It's kind of like, paying for tuition, not showing up to class, it's throwing money away, right? So, and whatever. So if you're going to do something, put everything into it, right? Because then you're going to get a ton out of it. So, so that's what I would say. It's a great question, Sloan. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Jim. We've gotten all of our questions, but we have one student who has his hand up, Bakari Jackson. Bakari, do you want to ask your question live? Or he took his hand down.
Maybe they typed it.
I don't see anything. Bakari, do you have a question? Let me unmute you.
He's there. He's muted. There he is.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a quick question about the interview packet. I heard a man talk about the interview packet. I wanted to know if it was ambitious in some circumstances.
If it was what?
Is the interview packet considered too ambitious? Is the interview packet considered too ambitious in some circumstances?
I've never seen that.
Can you hear me?
Honestly, out of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of our clients that have used them, I have never heard that. And honestly, if somebody thinks that's too ambitious, I'd question working for that person. I'd like, you got to be kidding me. Somebody's put in all this work, and if you don't want somebody that's hard worker, I guess, so it'll tell you something about that hiring manager and perhaps that company. But yeah, I haven't run across that, Bakari. Honestly.
Great. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, good question though. Good question. You're welcome.
I'm not sure if Lacey may have had to leave to go to another meeting. I'm not sure. Oh, there he is. So, this is great. I'm going to turn it back over to Lacey now.
Thank you. That's fine. Thank you, Jody. And thank you, Jim. And thank everyone who's been with us this afternoon. I hope we are forging a partnership here we can continue and in which some of you can take advantage of personally as you prepare to go on the job market. It is certainly, particularly in this pandemic era, one of the more daunting things you have to face. You just never know how a particular sector of the economy that you might be trying to enter has been impacted and might be changing or not changing. And so I think this is the key time, and I really appreciate Jim's willingness to offer this to us. And we will continue to work with him and with our students to try to help give them a good outcome. And just do remember my motto, which is consistent with everything Jim said: be the original, not the copy. And that will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, all. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Holly.
Thanks, Jody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.